أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه من والاه. Of course, I'm your brother, Daoud, the Executive Director of CAIR Michigan. I'm part of the Canton community. I'm sure all of you who are watching this video are familiar with my role here at CAIR Michigan as the Executive Director. We're no stranger to the Canton community. We actually are housed in Canton at the Medina Activity Center, of where the offices of CAIR Michigan has been since around the time of the pandemic. Without any further ado, we're going to give you a brief presentation about some of the activities of the Michigan chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations before we ask for your moral as well as financial support. So I will introduce my colleague, who is the staff attorney of CAIR Michigan, Sister Amy Ducoré, who will give her presentation, a very brief legal update.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Ramadan Mubarak to everybody. Thank you for watching our video regarding what's going on. I'm going to give you a very brief legal update about what's happened over the last couple of years at CAIR Michigan. We have had some very exciting updates, and we have some important work that we've been engaged in. First, I want to talk to you about a lawsuit that we actually filed in 2018. We filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Adams Community Center in the hopes of establishing the first ever mosque in the city of Troy. At the time that we filed our lawsuit, we also requested the Department of Justice to investigate Troy's actions because we felt that they were discriminatory, and we felt that their zoning law was actually discriminatory as well. After a year of working with the Department of Justice, CAIR Michigan was able to provide them with enough information that the Department of Justice brought suit against the city of Troy. So in 2018 and 2019, the city of Troy was sued both by CAIR Michigan and the Department of Justice. Just recently, literally 2 weeks before Ramadan started, the federal judge that's overseeing both of the cases ruled that the city of Troy violated the law. They violated the Religious Land Use Act, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, and they violated the First Amendment, and they now must allow Adams to open a building. Adam Community Center actually bought a building on Rochester Road. It's a very nice building. It's a very large building, and the judge ruled that Troy must allow them to open up a building in that location on Rochester Road. This decision paves the way for the Muslims in Troy. There's about an estimated 3,000 to 4,000 Muslims who work and live inside the city of Troy. It'll be the first ever masjid in Troy. 53 places of worship in Troy currently, and not a single masjid. So this will be a very exciting development, inshallah, coming very soon to the city of Troy. Some other things that we've been engaged in is protecting the rights of Muslims who are engaged in the foster care system. This year, just recently, we were able to represent a mother who had her children temporarily placed outside of her home into a foster care system. Unfortunately, there were no Muslim homes available for these children due to some special needs that they had. So the children were placed in Christian homes. At the time that they were placed in the Christian homes, they were being provided Christmas presents, they were being taken to church, they were, going to activities at the church on the weekends, and the mother had been requesting the children instead be taken to Juma and also be able to go to weekend Islamic school. We got involved and representing the mom in this case, and we talked to the foster care agency, and we were actually able to work out a scenario where now the children are attending Juma every week on a weekly basis. Every Friday they go, they see their mother takes them to Juma, and they go to either the Muslim Center or Masjid al-Haq every week. And they're also attending a Saturday Islamic school as well every single Saturday. And the children are not being taken to church with the foster families. So when the foster families go to church, the children stay home with a caregiver, which means they're not going to be celebrating the upcoming Easter holiday, which we know Muslims don't celebrate. So it was a really important win, and it was just one aspect of the advocacy that we do in our legal department that doesn't necessarily require litigation. Something else that we've been doing is we've been protecting the rights of Muslim workers. We have represented several clients who have been discriminated against because they were Muslim or otherwise had been denied a reasonable religious accommodation at work. So we filed Equal Employment Opportunity Commission complaints, we filed Michigan Department of Civil Rights complaints, and we filed lawsuits, several of them between 2020 and 2021. And a lot of these complaints that we filed with the employers and the commissions and the law, the federal courts, resulted in many of the employers taking religious rights accommodations and training and implicit bias training, either from CAIR Michigan, Safe Spaces, or through the EEOC. We actually won settlement amounts and the amount of over $200,000 for our clients in the last 2 years. And it really resulted in better workplaces for many Muslims in Michigan. Some of a brief overview of the types of work that we're doing. Just in 2021, we opened 67 new legal files. We settled 3 cases that resulted in monetary awards for our clients. We filed 78 different legal actions with court and administrative agencies. Those are lawsuits, Michigan Department of Civil Rights complaints, complaints with Department of Homeland Security, things of those natures. We provided 15 legal trainings throughout the Muslim community itself. And some of the ways in which Muslims are being discriminated against the most that we saw in 2021 were employment, discrimination cases. We're still having significant issues at the border with traveling internationally, especially with electronic seizures. We've seen an uptick of electronic seizures in the last 2 years. And we're still seeing discrimination throughout various avenues of law enforcement, including FBI interactions at a higher rate than any other type of discrimination that we're facing. And together, those 3 areas make up 35% of CAIR Michigan's total intakes in 2021. So even though CAIR Michigan has been doing the work, we can see that there's still a significant legal need for the work that we're doing in the community, inshallah.
Thank you, Sister Amy, for your portion of the presentation. Without any further ado, I'd like to bring on CAIR Michigan Director of Safe Spaces, Sister Zainab Fahas, to give us her portion of the presentation.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Zainab Fahas. I'm Director of Safe Spaces at CAIR Michigan. Safe Spaces is our advocacy department. So not only do I respond to cases of bias or discrimination, but I work to prevent those instances from happening. So inshallah, I'll be going over a few of the projects that we've been working on the past few years and then a look into the future, inshallah. So CAIR Michigan and Safe Spaces really understand how important it is for us to be working with Muslim youth and directly with the schools. Year after year, we see different issues that Muslim youth are facing. So we want to make sure that we're getting ahead of that and being supportive. Alhamdulillah, we were able to remove an Islamophobic book from the curriculum of 3 schools. And not only were we able to do that, but we were able to work with the schools themselves. Y High in Waima, which is a Washtenaw high school and middle school, accepted our training. So we provided all of their staff with training on who Muslims are, what Islam is, but also implicit biases, providing them with materials so that way they have accurate and reliable resources, and we're getting away from those Islamophobic books or items that unfortunately Muslim students feel like they have to speak up in class or explain their religion or break down those misconceptions. In addition to that, we have been cultivating strong relationships with the high school MSAs and their students. We actually have a high school intern on board to help bridge that gap especially. And we heard from some listening sessions and from the intern gathering, information on the ground in school, what's going on. For example, that there's a need for some halal food options. So we're currently working with Dearborn Public Schools. They currently offer a full halal menu. So we're trying to understand that, adapt their practices and build sort of this model procedure for other schools to adopt. So that way Muslim students have halal options and don't have to worry about that, inshallah. In addition, we're working, next slide. In addition, we're working with the community. Unfortunately, Muslims can face discrimination and Islamophobia in a number of sectors, whether that's schools, as I just mentioned, government agencies, places of employment. So Safe Spaces has worked with multiple police departments, Sterling Heights, the city of Dearborn and their police department, not only to provide training and greater understanding of religious sensitivity and how biases can come into play, but to amend policies, provide support. And in addition to that, we've fostered relationship with greater municipalities, for example, like the city of Hamtramck, providing their poll workers with training in response to some discriminatory practices that we saw that were affecting Muslims. And then lastly, supporting some complaints that we've seen come from places of employment, as Sister Amy mentioned. On the Safe Spaces side, we also work with those corporations and places of employment, so that way we're equipping them with the knowledge not only to prevent these instances from happening, but being real advocates for Muslim employees and making sure that it doesn't happen again in the future. And then lastly, look into the future, a few projects that Safe Spaces has coming up. Attorney Amy mentioned the foster agency that she worked with on the legal side. Safe Spaces now will be providing their staff with training, so that way when Muslim families do come in, how can their staff better support and understand and work with not only the parents, but the children. And in addition to that, provide non-Muslim families that are accepting Muslim children with the necessary information on how to be supportive when that Muslim youth is practicing their religion in the home, what their boundaries are, really a number of resources that they can turn to so that we are preventing any issues from coming up. In addition, we're going to be presenting to some full student populations at Bloomfield Hills High School, as well as Y High, regarding some of the issues that Muslim youth are facing today, and letting other students know how they can be supportive of their fellow Muslim students. And then lastly, inshallah, we'll be conducting citywide training for all Hamtramck employees. This was in response to the relationship that we already built with Hamtramck, but making sure that from the mayor's office to police department, fire department, everywhere in between, how can city employees really be equipped with the knowledge to be supportive and understanding of the Muslim population, and inshallah prevent any issues from happening.
Thank you much, Sister Zainab, for your portion of the presentation. As we go back, and in conclusion, you heard the stellar work that our staff attorney, our director of Safe Spaces, have been doing, and that's just a little taste of the activities of what CAIR Michigan has been doing on behalf of our community, not just in the past year or so, but the long and consistent professional work that we've been doing for almost now 2 decades. What can you do to get involved with the Michigan chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations? Well, firstly, if you see something Islamophobic or something happens to you, contact our office. And I say this all the time to people in the community. We just can't let things slide in regards to acts of discrimination or anti-Muslim bigotry, both on a macro level or on an individual level. So if you see something that's Islamophobic, be it in the local media, be it hearing some Islamophobic messaging from a radio talk show host in our locality, or if you or your children are subjected to some sort of bullying or something of that nature, please contact us immediately. And of course, our number can be found on our website at cairmichigan.org. The second thing is that we are always looking for interns, and especially interns who are entering to university or university students. We've had legal interns that have now gone on to work for firms, and as well as for governmental entities that were legal interns. Actually, Sister Amy is a former legal intern at CAIR Michigan before years later she became our staff attorney. We've taken legal interns as well from the Safe Spaces department from Michigan State University, University of Michigan, even from Ivy League schools where people who were based here went on to Ivy League schools and were doing virtual internship or legal assistance working with the Michigan chapter of CAIR. And if anyone is watching this or has a child who's in university and is exploring political science, who is exploring the law or sociology, those are some good majors, and we have internships which can be used for college credit actually at your university, both private or public. Lastly, but not least, we need your moral and financial support. We need your dua, and we also need your financial support. The Michigan chapter of CAIR, based upon COVID-19, we have not had our annual fundraising banquet. And this fundraising banquet has traditionally served as a major portion of our income throughout the year. And we have been significantly hampered as far as our fundraising, and our budget, to be quite frank, has been at an all-time low. So in order for us to continue to be involved in this very important litigation, and litigation is not cheap, and it's definitely not free, in regards to the trainings that we've given to schools and to law enforcement. These take resources from the amount of money that it takes to do legal filings and put together trainings, but also for our overhead, as well as for trying to give somewhat of a respectable salary to our staff. This takes money. And my brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm inviting you in this month, this most blessed month, the month in which our deeds are multiplied several times over, to donate to the Michigan chapter of CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations. You can go on our website and give a secure donation, or you can use Zelle or write a check and money order and mail it to our office. You can drop it off at the Medina Activity Center. And yes, we are a Zakat al-Mal eligible organization. We have people who come to our office who need assistance, who are in financial crisis. They fit under the categories of masakin and fuqara. They don't have money to even put down to help with their own legal filings. And we use zakat money to help these individuals in regards to their legal services. So our Zakat al-Mal status is not something that is what people just loosely term fi sabilillah, but is direct assistance that we are using to help with legal services for masakin and fuqara, which are people who are in the category of zakat eligible. Lastly, the Prophet ﷺ is narrated in Sahih Muslim, said, and whoever brings relief to a believer who is suffering a calamity or hardship from the calamities of the dunya, Allah will relieve from them a calamity from one of the calamities of Yawm al-Qiyamah. So your charitable donations and support can be assisting in people who come to us in crisis, who come to us many times suffering some sort of trauma, be it being fired from the workplace, school bullying, different sorts of circumstances that people come to us in which they come to us to literally get relief, to literally help them breathe, as the hadith, man tanafas, right? Literally, whoever helps someone breathe, it would be a literal translation of that hadith in Sahih Muslim. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, please be generous in your donations to CAIR Michigan in this Shahr Ramadan. And I ask Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal to accept all of your prayers, all your good deeds, and all of your zakah, and all of your sadaqah that you give during this blessed month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.